And ever since then, the whole world just turned into being a whole mess. Right, just on the background of this, we have the Tower of Babel, where people said they want to make a name for themselves. They wanted to create some kind of a city, and that city they called it Babel. And that city, does it ring anything with Revelation 21 and 2? But they wanted to do something, and God says that's not the way to do it. That is not the way to do it. And now God starts a new thing. He begins something new with a family. A family that was worshipping other gods, not Yahweh. And a family of nomads. Now a nomad is a person who does not live in one place for a long time. They stay here and they just create a temporary shelter, and then after some time they leave. And Abraham's family was like that. So God starts a new thing. And he says, go out. So even from the beginning, the story of Israel begins with Yahweh who commands, go. It begins by telling us that what is going to follow is going to be on the basis of Israel responding to the commands of Yahweh. And Yahweh says to Abram, go out from your country, leave everything you're familiar with, because he's starting a new thing. And he's saying, to the land that I will show you. Here's what is interesting. Here in Genesis 12, seems like it's where the journey to Canaan began for this family. But if you read just before that, in chapter 11, the last few verses of chapter 11, you will discover that Abram's father, Terah, had taken his family from Ur of the Chaldeans, and they were going to Canaan. But they set up camp in Haran, and that's where Terah died. So they were already on the way to Canaan. And God says to Abram, continue, go. I will show you the land. Now it's my thinking that probably they didn't even know where Canaan was when they left. Terah didn't know where Canaan was. They were just going, because that's what nomads do. They go and they find a place. Oh, this is good for our cattle. This is good for our livestock. So we'll set up camp here. But God specifically tells Abram that go to the land. I am going to show you the land. And they go, and God says, I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you. Now, I ask myself, what's the basis of the blessings that God is talking about? What's going to be the basis? Is it being in the land, such that Yahweh is saying, go into that land. When you are in that land, I will bless you, I will make you a great nation, I will make your name great. Or the basis of the blessing is in the obedience, such that Yahweh is saying, go. As you go, or if you obey me by going, I will make you into a great nation, I will make your name great, and all families of the earth will bless each other through you. Now I think probably the latter is true, that Yahweh is saying, as you go, if you go, I will bless you in this way and this way. Now, these blessings that God is pronouncing or is promising Abraham, they are not different. In fact, they are the same blessings that he pronounced in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. After he had created human beings, then God, Elohim, said, be fruitful and multiply. And to Abraham, he said, I will make you into a great nation. That implies being productive where you are living. And he says, you will have many descendants. That implies multiplication. So what we find even in the beginning of the story of Israel through this man called Abram is that the blessings that were pronounced to every human being in the beginning, they are still in continuation as God seeks to do things differently through a family, such that then it will multiply to everyone. That the word blessing, it means endow a certain capacity for someone to achieve what they have to achieve. When Yahweh pronounces a blessing, He is giving that person the capability to be productive, such that in Genesis 1:28, when He says the Bible says that God blessed them and said, which means that God gave them the capability to be productive in the land. And the same thing that happens here with Abram. He says that I will make you into a great nation and I will bless you. In other words, probably he is saying, you will be a great nation because I will have blessed you. Or I will bless you so that you can be a great nation. So that implies the blessing or the command to be productive and be fruitful in the land. And all families of the earth will bless one another by your name, implying multiplication, that there will be so many descendants. In fact, just a few chapters later, Yahweh will say to Abram that all your descendants will be as numerable as the stars. Count the stars. If you can count the stars, that's how many descendants you will have. Now with this, we notice two things that Yahweh is giving to Abram. He's promising him land and He's promising him descendants. Now, land became, the history, the story of Israel was shaped by those two things. Land and descendants. Now, we need to understand that land in this promise, here in Genesis 12, land primarily did not mean ownership of the land, but a land to live in. So that you have a place where you can live, so that you can be fruitful and you can multiply in the land wherever you are, but not really ownership. Ownership became an issue, became a really important thing when the covenant was ratified, chapter 15, chapter 17. Ownership of the land became very important then. But here, land primarily meant a place where you can live in. A place where you can live out the promises or the blessings that Yahweh has given to you. So then if we maybe look forward and say, yeah, sure, we are the descendants of Abraham. We live in the promises of Abraham. Probably what we should be asking ourselves is, maybe what we normally mean is that we are descendants of Abraham by faith, in the sense that he is the father of faith, so we are his descendants. But if we want to stay true to the promises of Abraham that were made and become true children of Abraham, then we should start thinking about the issue of land. That's controversial, right? Because when we talk about land, here is what I'm not saying, and here is what this is not saying. Yes, I'm not saying that we should go out and start repossessing people's land and say, this belongs to our God, we're taking it. No, that's not what I mean. Like I said, primarily, land did not mean ownership, but a place where you can live. Such that when we think about obedience and living out the blessings that Yahweh pronounced to every human being, and specifically to Abraham, we cannot live them anywhere but in a land where we are, at a certain place, right? You don't need to own a place in order to live out the blessings. You don't need to own a place in order to be obedient to Yahweh.